Hey Book World, I'm KM Robinson of KM Robinson Photography and Reading Transforms, and on Tuesday, June 28th, we held a special book launch live event for Pintip Dunn's newest book, The Darkest Lie. Here's what happened at the party, and be sure to stay tuned till the very end for a special bonus feature. I'm so excited today because not only do we have Pintip Dunn here, but we also have some of her really amazing friends that have popped in to say some really cool things. But we have some of our mutual author friends who are in the chat room right now hanging out with us, and I am so excited to see everybody. So we're going to get started, and the very first thing we do is switch over to our Keynote. So give me just 1 second while I switch over, and we should be good to go. Let's see if that's going to work. And there it is. Check out the blues in the lake on the cover. I love that. The mother I knew would never do those things, but maybe I never knew her after all. Clothes, jokes, coded messages. Cecilia Brooks and her mom shared everything. At least, Cece thought they did. 6 months ago, her mom killed herself after accusations of having sex with a student, and Cece's been the subject of whispers and taunts ever since. Now, at the start of her high school senior year, between dealing with her grieving, distracted father and the social nightmare that has become her life, Cece just wants to fly under the radar. Instead, she's volunteering at the school's crisis hotline, the same place her mother worked. As she counsels troubled strangers, Cece's lingering suspicions about her mom's death resurface. With the help of Sam, a new student and newspaper intern, she starts to piece together fragmented clues that point to a twisted secret at the heart of her community. Soon, finding the truth isn't just a matter of restoring her mother's reputation. It's about saving lives, including Cece's own. Sounds pretty awesome, right? Well, I will tell you, I have read this book. It is totally fantastic, and you definitely have to check it out. And one of my favorite things about this book is that there's so very many ways that we can actually bring elements from the book into all of our work that we are doing through photos of this book, through our blog work, and things like that. And so that actually brings us to our very first game. We are going to play a game with a connection image. Now, a connection image is a really cool picture that has a bunch of different elements from the book within this image. And you, the fans, get to try to guess why those particular items are in the image. So check this out. This is our connection image for The Darkest Lie. And as you can see, there's a lot of elements in here. So jump over to the chat box and start telling me what you think these things have to do with this story. So tell me, what do you think the sweatshirt has to do with the story? Do you notice how that there is a pink polka dotted book in the arms of that sweatshirt? That's very important. Any ideas as to why? If you keep looking, you're going to notice a phone. Well, we know that Cece is working at that crisis hotline center. Do you think that's the connection to that phone? But there's also a cell phone in this photo, so what could be the connections? You can see there's a keyboard. You can see that in the bottom left corner we have a notebook and a pen. You can see up in that top right-hand corner we've got a journal. In the top left-hand corner we've got a very colorful box. And then if you look closer toward the center of the picture, you're going to notice that there are little things like poker chips. You're going to notice that there is a key. You're going to notice there is a triangular folded note. Up toward that top right corner, you're going to notice a snow globe. You're going to notice that feather there. There's a white feather in the middle, too. And then there's also that mug of tea. There's a ton of little details within this image that are all connected to the story. So take a minute. Tell me what you're thinking. How are these things connected? You could even tell me who you think they're connected to. Who's wearing that sweatshirt? Who has that journal? Who is using the telephone? Why are the feathers there? Who does the key belong to? Think about it. If you can figure out what these are and how they're connected to the book before you read the book, you deserve some applause. And then, of course, after you've read the book, jump back and look at this picture because it's all going to make perfect sense. I love connection images because it really brings out so much of the book within one image and really makes everybody want to know why it's connected. And here she is, everybody, Pintip Dunn. Hi, Pintip. How are you doing today?
Hi, Katie. I'm great. I'm so excited about the launch today.
I am too. I'm so excited for you. Are you having a good book birthday?
Yes, it's wonderful.
Oh, I'm so glad. Tell me a little bit about the book. We've read the back cover of The Darkest Lie, and I know everybody's really excited about it. So can you tell me a little bit about what your inspiration was behind the story?
Yeah, sure. I started off thinking that I wanted to write about a teenage girl grieving her mother. And so that was the first and foremost point of what I wanted to do. And then the scandal came later. And I just wanted her to feel very conflicted about her grief. That came directly from my own experience because, not the scandal part, but I did lose my mom at a very young age. I was 5 years old. And so that's why this topic was important to me, and that's why I wanted to explore it.
Wow, that's really awesome. I love when people are pulling experiences from their real life and putting it into their story. I feel like that's really fantastic. Has that helped you to connect to the characters that you have written?
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite character or scene that you wrote?
Well, in The Darkest Lie, I think Cece, the main character, is definitely my favorite. Like I said, I did not have any kind of scandal surrounding my mom's death. It was a brain tumor, so nothing dramatic. But I did connect to her a lot. And it was, exploring these feelings of grief that I've had my whole life. And it's not something you ever get over. I kind of liken it to feeling like I have a hole in my heart. And I think that, that's what Cece was going through as well. And the grieving was made even harder because she had a lot of anger because she didn't understand the circumstances of her mom's death.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. I love Cece too. She's definitely her characters, and I feel like she's very, very interesting and very complex. Can you tell us something about Cece that maybe didn't make the book, or maybe that you just want to share about her?
Well, the fun thing about Cece is that her name used to be Carly, and that came directly from the phrase "caller in crisis." I used to work at a crisis hotline, and that was a phrase we used a lot. Caller in Crisis. So the original title of this book was actually Carly in Crisis, and that was how it finaled in the Golden Heart. We changed the title to The Hotline, and that was how it sold, and then we decided to change the title again, and at that time it became The Darkest Lie. Also what happened was my other book, Forget Tomorrow, sold, and that heroine's name was Callie. And so we said, you know what, I can't really have two books with a Callie and a Carly. And so at that point, we changed her name to Cece.
That makes sense. Yeah, I actually had the opportunity to read Forget Tomorrow back before it came out. I had an arc of it, and I thought it was fantastic. I'm so excited, and I know that you're working on the sequel to that. Is that right?
Yes, it's actually finished. So that book will come out. It's called Remember Yesterday, and that comes out in October of this year, October 4th.
That's so exciting, and that's from Untitled Teen, right?
Yes, that's right.
Fantastic. Well, you know that I am very social media friendly, and I know you are too. You spend a lot of time interacting with your fans. Can we talk a little bit about what hashtags or what social media things we're doing for The Darkest Lie?
Yeah, well, the hashtag, we decided to go simple and direct, so just hashtag The Darkest Lie. Should be pretty easy to remember.
Yep, that would definitely be easy to remember. So, guys, when you are tweeting about The Darkest Lie once you've read it, now that it's officially out. Make sure you are using hashtag The Darkest Lie. And I would even recommend to tag Pintip in your post so that she can see them as well. Now, Pintip, can you tell us a little bit about your writing process or some behind the scenes from your stories?
Sure. One interesting thing that people are always surprised by is that I actually write all of my books on my cell phone. So my last, I believe it's 5 or 6 books now, have all been written directly on my cell phone. The reason for that is because I have fibromyalgia, RSI, which basically means that I can't type on a keyboard at all without intense, debilitating pain. And so I used a voice dictation program for years and years. I never liked it. I never enjoyed talking my words when I really wanted to be writing them. And so then when I got my first smartphone, I believe it was 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago, was when I switched to using the cell phone. And so yeah, my whole life is basically on my phone. So basically that means I can write wherever I am, like in the carpool line, when I'm picking up my kids from school, if I'm at the doctor's office, anywhere. So I write anywhere and everywhere. My favorite place to write is at home on my recliner, partly because I need to rest my head against the back of the seat. So, but yeah, that's my writing process.
That is so fascinating. I did not know that. I didn't even realize that, you could write on a cell phone. I know that I despise writing on a cell phone, so I am incredibly impressed that you've written entire books through your cell phone. And, cell phones are really awesome because it gives me the perfect way to transition into what we're doing next, because cell phones are really great for connecting with people and connecting with your friends. And the next thing I want to do for you is actually show you something really cool that we put together. We have some of your author friends who have been so kind. They are popping in to give you some special wishes for your book birthday. So we're going to take a second. We're going to check out what your friends have to say.
Hello everyone, I'm Brenda Drake, author of Thief of Lies and creator of Pitch Wars. I wanted to let you know that today is the release date of The Darkest Lie by Pintip Dunn. It's a fast-paced thriller with a lot of heart, and you need to pick up your copy today. And I also want to say congratulations, Pintip. I love this book. Good luck. Bye-bye.
Pintip, congratulations on the release of The Darkest Lie. It's a real thriller. I loved it.
Hi guys, this is Meg Castle, giving a big shout out and congrats to Pintip Dunn on her release of The Darkest Lie. I was lucky enough to critique this book, and it was really hard not to read it for pleasure and to read it as a critiquer. It was amazing. It's a real treat. I hope you pick it up.
Hey Pan, I just wanted to say congratulations on The Darkest Lie. I remember back in 2013 when we first started brainstorming about this book, and I was so excited because I really wanted to read it, and then I got to blurb it, and this is just one of my favorite books of 2016. So this is Romilly Bernard, and I just wanted to say congratulations, and I hope everybody really enjoys The Darkest Lie as much as I did. Thanks!
Hi, I'm Denny Bryce. I'm here to talk a few moments about Pintip Dunn's newest book, The Darkest Lie. It's YA, it's suspenseful, it's romantic, but it tells an important story about a young girl seeking the truth about her mother's suicide. Did she really commit suicide? A little bit of sun came in there. Anyway, I hope you check it out. The Darkest Lie by Pintip Dunn. Thanks.
Happy book birthday to Pintip Dunn and The Darkest Lie. This YA contemporary thriller was filled with more twists and turns than a carnival ride, and I stayed up far, far too late reading it because I had to know how the story would end, and I suspect you will be doing the same thing. So congratulations. So excited to have this book in the world.
I am so grateful that all of your friends could pop in for your book birthday. This has been such a great treat to see everybody and talk with everybody. And I actually have another surprise for everybody out there. We have made a bit of a trailer for The Darkest Lie. And so no one has seen this before. We are going to play this for you right now, and we're going to get you excited for the book. All right, everybody, we have another special treat. I'm so excited. Pintip is actually going to be reading some of her story to us to get us excited about The Darkest Lie. So Pintip, take it away.
Okay, so I'll be reading from The Darkest Lie. I have my copy right here, and I'm just going to read a little bit of the very beginning, which is the prologue of the book, and you'll get introduced to Cece here. It's time to view the body. Family first. Well, technically, me first. There was always only 3 of us in the nuclear unit, and Dad's been locked in the den for the past 72 hours. I've only seen him once, when he shuffled upstairs like a pajama-clad zombie and asked me if I'd eaten. That was it. Did you eat? Not, I prefer the cherry wood casket, or let me make your grandma's travel arrangements, or even, I know this was Mom's favorite dress, but isn't the neckline a little low? Did I eat? Yes, Dad. I had soup from the can and microwaved pizza rolls and a bowl of cereal. The food sloshes in my stomach now as I walk down the runner to the casket I picked out because of its mauve tint. Calla lilies pile in urns around the viewing room, and the air conditioning wars with the sweat along my hairline. My mom smiles at me from a portrait erected behind the casket. Her eyes are hesitant and a little wary, as if she knew somehow, some way, she would wind up here, lifeless, pumped full of formaldehyde, about to be gawked at by a town full of gossips. This was only going to end one of 2 ways, with Tabitha Brooks dead or in jail. I never thought I'd say this, but I'd give anything to see my mother behind bars. I wade through the dense, chilly air and stop a few feet from the body. Behind me, my grandma and aunt sit, a box of tissues between them, blowing their noses like it's a sport. They're the only relatives we have. Mom's parents have both passed, and Graham's husband, my grandfather, took off when my dad was a kid. Look at our Cecilia, Gran sniffs. So brave, not a single tear shed. If she only knew, I'm not brave. 15 minutes ago, I was retching into the toilet bowl. 5 minutes from now, when the doors open for the visitation, I'll be long gone, leaving Graham to shake people's hands and deal with the bit lips, the knowing eyebrows, that inevitable speaking in a funeral parlor whisper. I can hear the titters. Is it true? Tabitha's heart stopped while she was boffing the high school quarterback? Why, she must have been 20 years his senior. 23 years to be exact, and a high school English teacher to boot. But she didn't actually die during sex. Instead, a few days after Tommy Farrow came forward with their affair, my mother took her own life. What could be a clearer admission of guilt? She might as well have been caught in the act. The investigation was shut down before it even began.
Oh, that was so good. Now, guys, I have read this entire book. I'm going to tell you right now, you need to get it if you don't have it already, because it is incredible, and it is going to keep your attention through the whole thing. I know I raced through it just to find out what exactly happened. I had the best time, and I actually had the privilege of having one of my friends read it with me, and she texted me again and again and again because she wanted to talk about everything that she was reading. So we had so much fun doing it together. So if you have a friend, grab them and read it together. It's an awesome way to kind of go through this book and guess what exactly happens. Now, speaking of guessing things, we actually have a bit of a game for you. We have a coded message that we would like for you to solve, because within the story, there's actually a coded message that is rather important. So you're going to see that as you were reading it. But for now, take a look right here. This is our coded message. Let's see if you can figure out what we have. So this is a rather interesting code. What do you think, Pintip? It's kind of hard, right?
Yeah, that is hard.
There's a lot of different ways that you could possibly solve it. But, you know, I could give you a hint. Do you think that you need hints?
You know what? I think I think people will get this. Let's give them a chance to try to see if they'll get this.
Okay, let's see what we've got. Pop your ideas in the comment box on the right of the screen and let's see what you come up with. Are we figuring it out? Do we know what these letters mean? Can anybody say that word? Let's give you a hint for those of you that do not know what this is. And this is a major, major hint. So here we go. Does that make it easier for you? If you know what it is, pop it over in the chat box. If you guessed The Darkest Lie is finally here, you are correct. So that was our little coded game. Thanks for playing. We do have another game that we're actually going to be playing right now. And Pintip, you might have some fun with this one. We are going to be playing a game called Who Said It? And I have actually pulled some quotes from the book, and we are going to figure out who said the line. So let's take a look here. Who said it? We're going to meet our three characters that we have pulled lines from. So our first person is the girl. This is our main character. Her name is Cece. You've heard a little bit from her in the reading that we just did. So take a look. This is Cece. We also have our journalist. His name is Sam, and he is a rather interesting character. He's got a lot that he goes through within this story. And our last option is our hotline guy, Liam. And Liam is quite the character as well. If you haven't met Liam yet, you're going to want to. So let's take a look at our first quote. It says, "I don't get involved. That's my rule for this year. I mind my own business, keep a low profile, and nobody has any reason to single me out." So who do we think said that? Do we think it was Sam, Cece, or Liam? Now, I know, Pintip, you know this one because you wrote this. But I'm wondering if the rest of you have any idea who could say this. If you think you know, pop your answer into the chat box over on the right. Do we think it was Sam? Do we think it was Cece? Or do we think it was Liam? Well, if you guessed Cece, you are correct. Our next quote says, "And I never want to feel that helpless again. I don't want anyone else to feel like that either. Least of all, you." So who do we think? Do we think that was Sam, Cece, or Liam? Personally, I love this quote. I loved all the quotes from this book. It was such a good book. Pop your choices over in our chat box and let us know what you think. If you guessed that it was Sam, you are correct. Our next quote, it says, "I'm here for you, Cece. If you ever need to talk, if you need anything at all, just say the word. Let me help you, please." So, judging from that, I guess we can knock out one of our options here. But if you think it's Cece, go ahead and put that in the chat box. Do we think it was Sam, our journalist, or Liam, our hotline guy? Well, if you guessed Liam, you are correct. If we take a look at our next quote, it says, "You are never under any obligation to let yourself be used. Do you understand?" Who do we think that was? Our journalist, our girl, or our hotline guy? If you guessed that it was Liam, you are correct. Our next quote says, "I don't care very much what other people think, but when they look at you and laugh, it always hurts, no matter how thick your skin is." Do we think that was Cece, our main character? Do we think it was Liam, or do we think it was Sam? What do you think, Pintip? Do you think this is easy for them to guess?
This one might be a little tricky.
Right? I think it's a little tricky. If you guessed that it was Sam, our journalist, you are correct. I'm trying to understand her. This is a short and sweet one. Who do we think said that, and who do we think they're talking about? So many possible guesses here. Do you remember who said this, Pintip?
No, actually, I'm trying to think where this is from. This is a very
I
hard
saw
one.
your face, and I thought maybe she doesn't
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to this one.
Well, I think you wrote it quite some time ago. This one is actually Cece. She's talking about her mom in that scene. The next quote says, "We might as well go inside. We didn't come here to turn around and go home." Well, who do you think does not want to go home here? Do we think it's Sam, Cece, or Liam? Pop your answers into the chat box. Let's see what we think. This one is actually Sam, and that is actually a very fun scene. Did you have fun writing that scene? You know which scene that's from?
Yes, I know exactly where that scene is from. It's very fun.
Let's take a look at our next one. "Don't you see you're not helping anything by hiding this?" Who do we think said that? And what are they hiding? Any guesses on what they're hiding? Pop your answers in that chat box. We actually know that Sam has said this, and he's worried about something that's going on in the story. I can't ruin it for you, but you should definitely check it out and find out. "I can't do this anymore. I tried to do what's right, but I don't know who to trust. I don't know who's telling the truth. I don't know anything anymore." Who do we think said that? Do we think it's Sam, Cece, or Liam? Any guesses, Pintip?
Oh, yes. I've known all of these except for that very short, I don't understand her.
I know, that teeny tiny one. I knew that would be the one that tripped you up, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you guessed that this was said by Cece, you are correct. We are just about done. We've got 2 more to go. Our next quote says, "I want to remember your face when you open it, and I want the backdrop to be as beautiful as you are." Well, this is a fun quote. You need to read this scene, guys. This is a good one. Anything fun to say about that, Pintip?
An interesting thing that you don't know, Katie, is that this scene was added very late in the process. It was one of the very last scenes I added, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
I really love that scene.
I love that scene. I thought it was perfect. So apparently it's the perfect addition to the book. Oh, love. If you guessed that Liam has said this line, you are correct. And now for our very last one. The quote says, "Call me anytime if you need to talk. It's not like I'll be sleeping anyway." Well, who do we think isn't sleeping, and why aren't they sleeping? Kind of interesting. Do we think it's Liam, Cece, or Sam? Pop your last guess into that chat box for us. If you guessed that this was Sam, you are correct. Now, Pintip, I could be really evil and I could ask you which of the boys you like better, but I won't do that. You know why I won't do that, but
Yeah. Thank you for not asking me that. I love them both. I do.
Yes. I thought it was fascinating to read about Sam and Cece and Liam. They were very, very interesting characters, the way that you wrote them and everything that they said and did. I thought it was fantastic. So, well done.
Thank you so much.
All right. We are going to move on. We are going to have a little bit of question and answer time. So if you have questions for Pintip, now is the time to ask. So go ahead, start popping those into the chat box. You are going to be able to see what everybody is saying. I think there's a little box down there. If you click the red question mark, it's going to flag it as a question for us, so we will know what's a question and what's a comment. So go ahead, if you have questions, pop those in for Pintip right now, and we're going to get started with our question and answer time. All right. So we are just waiting for a couple of questions to come in, but I do have a couple of questions from some people who could not make it. So Pintip, Alexis wanted to know, do you have any authors that are inspirational to you or inspired you to do your writing?
Well, I think I have to talk here about Suzanne Collins and the Hunger Games, because before I read that book, I was jumping from genre to genre. I think I wrote a chick lit, a contemporary romance, kind of a family literary saga. And I didn't really know what genre I wanted to write. And then as soon as I read that book, I knew immediately that young adult was my home. And it doesn't matter if it's science fiction, like Forget Tomorrow, or contemporary thriller like this book, but I just knew then that that was what I wanted to write, and that was where my voice was and what I felt comfortable with.
That's fantastic. And because I happen to have these sitting here, we're just going to give a little shout out to both of your books, The Darkest Lie, which came out today, and Forget Tomorrow, where the sequel actually comes out this fall, right?
Yes, that's right. October 4th.
Fantastic. Well, it looks like we've got a couple questions in our chat box. So Caroline is asking, did you ever consider making Liam a bit more of an antagonist?
Caroline, I'm going to have to ask you to clarify a little bit, because some people mean antagonist as in enemy, and some people, when they say antagonist, they mean someone who helps the protagonist change and grow. So I guess I'm not sure exactly which question you're asking there. So if you wouldn't mind commenting and clarifying, I would love to answer that question.
All right, so Caroline, go ahead and pop that in, and we will come right back to you. Your next question is actually from Jody. Jody is the author of The Society and The Girlfriend Request, and she wants to know, do you ever get writer's block, and how do you deal with it? Because she does.
Of course I do. I think we all do have those moments where nothing comes out or the story's not coming the way we want it to. I haven't actually had writer's block recently, and that's because I've been under so many deadlines. And I think that having those deadlines is a very good motivator for making the words come out. So I don't have a good answer for how I deal with it. I think maybe just pushing through, because if you push through, at least for me, if I just keep working at it and putting words on the page, usually I'll come upon something that will inspire or motivate something else and help the writing come along.
Fantastic. Well, we actually have a clarification from Caroline, and she is saying not really an enemy. She kind of means more involved with the whole situation with the mother. So she found him a little shady at times, and she once thought that he was actually, you know, someone to really be watching. So what do you think?
The role for Liam, without giving anything away, is that I wanted to have somebody who could understand the dark parts of Cece, because she feels very guilty in a way about the anger and rage that she has towards her mom. And she's very conflicted about it. And Liam, because his own dad passed away, has sort of that same love, hate, grief, anger. And so for Cece, she felt like this was the dark part of her and something that Sam couldn't understand, and that she was kind of afraid to reveal to him. So I guess the question was, did I think about bringing him into the story more? I think that he did fulfill the role that he was meant to play. So I guess the answer is no.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I very much liked Liam's role and everything that happened with him, so I kind of like that. And speaking of things that I like, I really like our next question, which is from Brenda. And Brenda is also an author. Her books literally arrived as we were beginning this broadcast, so there we go, Brenda. And her question is, where did you get the folding notes, or where did you get to fold the notes in the way that you did within the story? Did you do that when you were in school?
I absolutely folded notes that way. And in fact, I have an entire cookie tin of notes that I used to pass with my friends when we were in middle school. And, you know, without cell phones and text messages back then, that was how we communicated. And I do have a very fond memories of those notes, and that was absolutely where I got that idea.
I remember doing that too when I was in school. In fact, when I was photographing your book, I had to really think about how you fold it like a triangle, and then I had to practice to get it right for the photos.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you did a really good job.
Yeah. Meg is here, and she has asked, do you plan to write more thrillers after this one? And I personally hope the answer is yes.
Yes, I have. In fact, I just finished one 2 days ago. It's called Girl in Between, and it comes out next July from Kensington as well. So if you like this one, maybe you can, maybe you'll look forward to that one.
Ooh, that sounds really good. I cannot wait to learn more about that. I volunteer to Beta Week if you need anything.
Oh, sure.
I have a question from Alexis, and she wants to know, when did you decide to be a writer?
I wanted to be a writer when, starting at 6 years old, I was in the first grade, and the teacher asked the classroom to write down the 3 professions they wanted to be when they grew up. And my number 1 profession was to be an author. I remember this so clearly. Number 2, I can't actually remember. And number 3, I wanted to be an artist. So I guess I wanted to do something creative all along. I didn't actually start writing. The fictional novel I tried was when I was 22.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting. Let me see. Oh, I had a question here. Where did that go? What is the hardest part you've experienced while writing The Darkest Lie? And that is from Erica.
The hardest part, I think, is that at one point the story got very, very dark. And sometimes when you're too deep into a story, you can't really see what you're doing or exactly how that story is functioning or how it's affecting the reader. And so when I sent it to my critique partners and my agent, they all came back uniformly saying that it was very, very dark. And so the version that is published now, I actually pulled back a lot. And so it's still pretty dark. Those of you who read it know that it's still pretty dark, but it's not as twisted as it was. But that was hard for me just because the story changed a lot during that revision. I think I rewrote most of the major plot line. So it was a big, big revision for me. And I thought at that point that I wasn't sure if I could save this book or not.
Wow, that is so interesting. I love hearing these behind-the-scenes stories because it gives us such insight into the industry and into the author mind. So I really appreciate you sharing this stuff with us. Brenda asks, did any of the scenes scare you? She got freaked out a few times, just saying.
No, they actually didn't, because I knew what was coming. So yeah, this is interesting for me. I remember Stephen King saying that he would go to sleep with all the lights on when he was writing his books. But first of all, my books aren't that scary. But second, I knew what was coming, so I wasn't scared.
Well, that's actually a great segue because Jody has just asked if you are a plotter or a pantser. So do you plan this out before, or does it kind of just happen for you?
I am a little of both. I always like to say that I really, really want to be a plotter, and so I try my best to plot things beforehand. But usually the best scenes and the best ideas come when I deviate from that plan. So I try to be a little flexible about it, where I have a rough idea of where everything's going, but I don't like to plan everything out because then I feel like the story's too restricted.
I totally understand that. Yep, that makes perfect sense. So as we're talking about this, Erica has a really good question for us. She wants to know what you do when you're not writing. So we know that you aren't structuring your stories too much, but do you have things that you do outside of your writing that you could share with us?
This is asking about pastimes I enjoy when I'm not writing, or?
Yes. Tell us what you do when you're not writing and planning your books.
Yeah. So I love going out to eat. I'm a huge foodie, so I love going out to eat with my husband or other friends. I love exercising. I have an elliptical in my gym downstairs in front of the TV, and so I usually exercise and watch reality TV. Love reality shows, so I watch things like Survivor and The Bachelor and Amazing Race and Top Chef. I love all those shows, and I love hanging out with my kids and playing with them. And I read, and that is mostly I just told you my life right there.
That sounds like a pretty good life. I would totally love to do that. That'd be awesome. It's kind of interesting that you watch reality TV. I feel like we're going to have to talk about that more because I don't watch very much of that, and people are trying to educate me on it, so you're going to have to get me involved with that at some point. I think that we are pretty good. I think we're pretty good for questions right now. We're actually going to take a minute and talk a bit about the gifts that you have for everyone. So we thank everyone so much for coming. We've got some really cool presents for you because you came and hang out with us and you stuck through to the end. So why don't you tell us what we're doing?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. You've made this release day really special for me. Thank you so much, Katie, for organizing this party. It was amazing. And to thank all of you for coming, I would love to send you all a little gift. So what I would love to send you is a bookmark of The Darkest Lie, some locker magnets, which are basically very big magnets. The idea comes from Brenda Drake, who is here, of the book cover. Also a book plate with my signature, and also, if you haven't already read it, an e-copy of Forget Tomorrow. So to get all of those things, all you have to do is just direct message me and give me your address, and I'll get those in the mail to you. One thing, though, I won't be sending them out until next week because I've just ordered the locker magnets, so they won't be arriving until then. But that's just to thank you all so much. I'm just so happy that you came here with me to celebrate the release today.
Okay, so if you message her, she is going to send you an e-copy of Forget Tomorrow. I had the privilege of reading this back when it first came out. It's really awesome, and you're definitely going to want to get your hands on it before the sequel comes out in the fall. So make sure that you message Pintip so that you can get that, as well as your other really cool presents, just for coming and being so awesome. We are so grateful that each and every one of you could come and hang out with us. We hoped that you had so much fun during this. I loved chatting with everybody. I hope you enjoyed the games. And if you feel so inclined, we would love if you would reach out to us on Twitter. In just a minute, I'm going to pop both of our Twitter handles up so that you can tweet us. If you're really awesome, you may even want to take a selfie of yourself with your computer screen with Pintip on it so that you can say you had attended the party. So, Pintip, anything else you want to say?
No, I think that's about it. But again, I just want to say thank you so much. You guys were so awesome, and I'm just so happy you came, and so happy that Katie organized this party for me.
All right. Well, thank you, Pintip, so much for hanging out with us. I loved spending time with you. It's been so great working with you through the whole thing. And if you have not purchased it yet, The Darkest Lie came out today. If you have had the privilege of reading it, I know several of you have, please make sure that you pop onto Amazon and Goodreads and Barnes & Noble and that you review it and give us a wonderful, honest review so that your friends, and if you're bloggers, if you're fans, will also check out the story. Thank you so, so much, and I hope that you stay in contact with us. Again, tweet us when you get a chance, and I am going to keep you on our book launch live list if you signed up for this party so that you will know about our future parties with our other authors, many of whom were hanging out in the chat with us today. So let me pop up our here. You can find us at Pintip Dunn and at Reading Transforms, except it's missing some vowels. So if you are looking for me on Twitter, it's ReadNgTransforms. FORM. But if you're hitting me up on Facebook or Instagram, it's the full Reading Transforms. So go ahead, tweet us. We would love to hear from you. We want to know what you thought of the party, if you had fun, if you have ideas for us, if you have suggestions for authors to come and hang out with us. We want to hear from you. So thank you, everybody. I hope you had so much fun, and we will be talking to you soon. Bye-bye, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed our book launch live event for Pintip Dunn's newest book, The Darkest Lie, which is now available. If you would like to check out our bonus content for The Darkest Lie, you can jump onto our YouTube page and look at our book cover style guide quick look video that teaches book bloggers how to stylize and photograph the book for their blogs and Instagram pages. If you are an author who has a young adult or new adult novel coming out soon and you would like to be considered for your own book launch live event, we would love to hear from you. You can check us out through our website. And if you are an author who is looking for new, unique, and creative ideas for marketing your book and your author brand, be sure to check out our website, www.readingtransforms.com, for some amazing tutorials and resources. You can also jump onto our blog at blog.readingtransforms.com for some amazing articles about how you can create an epic brand for your fans. And if you want, you can also jump onto our YouTube channel for our video resources. I'm KM Robinson of KM Robinson Photography and Reading Transforms. Stay inspired.